With Tegucigalpa under RLF control, the battle for Fort David was over. The RLF had pushed the elites out of range of the Panama Canal and claimed a major strategic victory. The initiative now lay in the hands of the RLF, however, no one had told the elites. On the morning of day 14, the vanguard of the RLF forces began bombarding the elite troops garrisoned in fortifications at San Miguel and San Pedro Sula. While the RLF was aware of a large amount of elite armor in the region, they misread its purpose. The RLF assumed that the lack of anti-air allocated to the elite armor meant it would remain in the fortifications to ensure minimal losses, while greatly delaying the RLF's push north. However, this was never the elite's intent. It was a trap. Thousands of elite tanks rushed from the fortification towards the RLF vanguard. Immediately, Skybadger, the commander of the RLF vanguard, ordered his troops to retreat and regroup into Tegucigalpa, where the RLF hoped they may be able to repel the attack. The situation looked grim. If the elites recaptured Tegucigalpa, they would be able to contest the Panama Canal and potentially cut off the RLF troops in Central America from South America. This would create a perfect opportunity to cripple the RLF's armies. Meanwhile, the RLF War Council met and evaluated its options. In terms of how the RLFs and elites had specialized, it was clear that fighting on the ground would favor the elites. Due to the fact that the members of the RLF had focused on their navies and air force, it had left little oil and metal for the construction of their armies. This meant that the RLF armies were largely infantry based. The opposite was true for the elites, who had focused on their air force and army, leaving only scraps for the navy. After a quick and decisive discussion, the RLF came to the conclusion that while retreating from Tegucigalpa was not ideal, it was necessary. By retreating, the RLF could move on to more favourable terrain and meet up with smaller elements of the RLF army. Retreating would also allow them to form a stronger resistance for the coming battle by moving deeper into RLF airspace, increasing the rate of which the RLF's own air force could attack while decreasing the rate of which the elites could. However, the RLF was still uncertain if the vanguard could be saved. An hour later, Tegucigalpa was overrun and back under the control of the elites, while the RLF vanguard had made little progress and was nearly in range of the elites' tanks. In a last desperate move to buy more time, Skybadger ordered a small section of infantry to break off and dig in for defense while the main body escaped. It failed. Elite tanks smashed through the line and cut the vanguard off at the last second, trapping it in combat. The situation was desperate. The RLF was caught off guard and out of formation. To make the situation worse, elite aircraft were spotted on the horizon. By this point, however, King Congo had rallied the RLF Air Force and deployed it to save the vanguard. But this victory would not come cheap. By reading the situation, King Congo quickly saw that the elite Air Force was not attacking the RLF vanguard, but was there purely to protect elite tanks from RLF bombers. For this reason, King Congo could not just attack, or the RLF would take unacceptable losses. To get around this situation, King Congo split his forces, hiding half in the fog of war, while sending the other half to threaten elite units behind the front. As King Congo expected, this drew the elite air force back and gave his other half an opportunity to bomb the elite tanks. It worked. RLF bombers split the gap and directly struck the elite tanks before the RLF air force could fully respond. With their bombs away, the damage had been done, but the elites were not going to let it be easy. Elite fighters were close enough to shoot down RLF bombers as they headed back to base. As the battle went on, King Congo was able to launch a few more of these attacks with devastating effect, but it soon became clear that the RLF vanguard was on the edge of collapse. It was simply no match for the massive army it faced. By the end of day 14, the RLF had suffered its first tactical defeat. But there was a silver lining. The elite's army was left temporarily useless, and the sacrifice of the RLF vanguard had also given time for North Brazil and East Amazonas to organize their massive armies in the south. They now marched north. The RLF vanguard, the only major South Argentinian army, had been destroyed, and the RLF air force was at this point struggling to compete with the elites for air superiority. The RLF realized something had to be done urgently. With little time left and no conventional options available, the RLF was forced back to the drawing board.